if you're a college player and you're a great college player, like Caitlin was, the delusional fan base that follows her disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go in that league and tear it apart. There were actually odds on she's third or fourth in betting odds on being MVP of the WNBA. These people are so disrespectful and so unknowledgeable and so stupid that it gives women's basketball a bad name. Okay, so the kid was set up for failure right from the beginning.
Remember this moment Geno Auriemma once thought he had Caitlin Clark completely figured out, a flashy player who, in his words, wasn't ready to shake up the basketball world with a fan base he claimed was living in a fantasy, but reality has a funny way of proving people wrong. And this time it hit Auriemma hard on live TV, no less the same Caitlin Clark he criticized as not built for WNBA physicality has shattered. Expectations turning skeptics into fans and Gino into her most unlikely supporter.
This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league, and she's a rookie.
Clark's freshman season wasn't just good, it was groundbreaking, from electrifying performances that lit up the court to smashing records that will stand for years. She silenced critics in the loudest way possible with her game, and in doing so she made even her harshest detractor changes tune. Auriemma, the coaching legend known for his unshakable opinions, was forced to offer the kind of admiration no one saw coming. But here's the real question: how did we get here? How did one of basketball's most iconic coaches go from doubting Clark to acknowledging her greatness? The backstory is as fascinating as the turnaround itself, and what followed was nothing short of headline gold.
Gino, baby, if Caitlin Clark is on the team, it becomes the right team. Because Caitlin Clark is on it. It's like saying Michael Jordan's not on the right team. It's the right team if Michael Jordan is on the roster.
Started with a statement that sent shockwaves to the basketball world, appearing on the Dan Patrick Show. Geno Auriemma, the legendary UConn coach, didn't hold back. He boldly criticized Caitlin Clark's fan base, calling them delusional and claiming they were setting her up for failure. As reason, he didn't see Clark as being built for the physicality of the WNBA, nor did he believe she had the quickness to handle the league's aggressive defenders.
What does bother me is some of the people I deeply respect, their basketball credentials, their basketball history, their commitment to basketball and women's basketball, I think have really not covered themselves in glory with some of this commentary.
To truly understand Auriemma's doubts, you have to rewind to Clark's college days at Iowa. She wasn't just a star. She was a phenomenon whose impact on the court was seismic. Her long-range shooting bordered on jaw-dropping. Her leadership turned the Hawkeyes into national contenders, and her ability to score at will made her the talk of the basketball world by the time she was selected as the top pick in the 2024 WNBA draft. She had already achieved household name status, but Auriemma wasn't impressed to him. Success didn't necessarily translate to dominance in the pros, unless you're from UConn, that is, and Diana said it best: as kids in for a rude awakening, the basketball world quickly took sides. Clark's supporters pointed to her relentless work ethic, her unmatched basketball IQ, and her uncanny ability to deliver when it mattered most. Her critics, including WNBA legend Diana Taurasi, side with Auriemma, questioning whether her collegiate brilliance could translate to the unforgiving pace and physicality of the pro game. The divide was clear, and the pressure on Clark to prove herself couldn't have been higher.
Like I said earlier, they actually had odds that, she was like third or fourth in the betting odds to be MVP of the WNBA. That's such a slap in the face to every WNBA player. It's unbelievable, right?
But if there's one thing Clark has always done, it's rising to the occasion. That determination set the stage for what would become one of the most memorable debut seasons in WNBA history. Clark didn't just meet expectations. She obliterated them, leading the Indiana Fever. She posted astonishing stats: 19, 2 points, 8, 4 assists and over 5 rebounds per game, her offensive brilliance turned heads, but it was her ability to elevate her teammates and control the tempo of games that left critics speechless along the way. She smashed an unprecedented 62 records of feet that silenced even her most vocal doubters.
You never know how quickly they're going to adapt to the WNBA game coming from college. And I think that Caitlin has done surprisingly well, how quickly she's adapted to this game. There's a lot of doubters out there, as we all know, and she has proved them all wrong.
And then there were the moments that defined her season, the buzzer beaters that sparked wild celebrations, the triple-doubles that became social media sensations, and the clutch plays in high-stakes games that showcased her poise under pressure. Clark wasn't just proving she could hang with the pros. She was demonstrating that she belonged among the league's brightest. Stars, her resilience, leadership, and sheer talent made her rookie season one for the ages. For Auriemma, the freshman slump he had predicted never materialized. Instead, he found himself watching as the very player he doubted shattered expectations. The question now wasn't whether Clark could handle the WNBA, it was how far her star would rise. And how did all of this lead to Geno Auriemma publicly reversing his stance? That's where the story takes an unexpected and fascinating turn.
The worst part about new fans, they have no perspective. There's no context. So they just say ridiculous nonsense.
Before we dive into what Gino actually said, let's understand why the sudden change of heart was at the undeniable brilliance of Caitlin Clark's debut season. Or is there more to the story? Watching her dominate the WNBA certainly could have changed his mind, but not everyone is convinced his newfound admiration is entirely genuine.
The rival league is picking up players and they're getting ready to make a big splash in January with this league.
This league, here's where it gets interesting. Geno Auriemma has a significant financial stake in unrivaled the UPenn coming in 3-on-3 basketball league that has been aggressively pursuing Clark. The league sees her as a game-changer, a star who could single-handedly elevate its profile and bring in fans. And Geno's glowing remarks, they came at the perfect time to raise speculation. Was this a heartfelt acknowledgement of her greatness, or a strategic move to win her over? And while Clark has already turned them down, she can still show up to support the games or publicly praise the new league, therefore elevating its profile overnight.
He has decided not to do Unrivaled, even though Aaliyah Boston's doing it, Lexi Hull is doing it, Kate Martin is doing it, and despite all the rumors, and I'm sure the push that was put on her. But Clark has all the leverage in this situation, and I'm not saying she flexed it, but she was comfortable enough in her position to make the decision, and it appears that answer is no.
The timing has raised more than a few eyebrows. Could this be a case of flattery with an ulterior motive? Fans and analysts alike have debated whether his public praise was genuine or part of a calculated long game to bring Clark into the fold maybe next year. So what did Gino really say during a game where Caitlin Clark was in attendance to support her former Iowa Hawkeyes? Something unexpected happened. Fox College Hoops had prepared a tribute video, a heartfelt montage of her college highlights, interwoven with messages from former teammates, coaches, and even rivals. It was a moment designed to celebrate her impact, and it delivered in every way.
Unless you have been living under a rock, you have heard about Caitlin Clark.
She's just a generational player and makes everybody around her better.
Caitlin Clark will go down as one of the best to ever play the game.
Women's basketball is under the spotlight right now because of Caitlin, and I think that will have an impact forever.
The tribute included touching words from basketball stars like Paige Beckers and Gugu Watkins, as well as her former coaches Lisa Bleer and Jan Jensen Watkins, who had faced Clark on the court, said with admiration, "She's been great. I'm really excited for her at this next stage." The praise flowed effortlessly, highlighting not just Clark's jaw-dropping skills, but also the character and leadership she displayed both on and off the court.
Great player, good person as well. She's been great, and I'm really excited for her at this next stage in her career.
Caitlin Clark becomes the all-time leading scorer in major college basketball. Another forever moment for this transformational superstar.
But what left everyone talking wasn't just a glowing praise from her supporters. What truly stole the show was how even her harshest critics had softened their tone. Geno Auriemma, once one of Clark's loudest doubters, was now offering something no one expected: genuine respect. The man who had dismissed her as hype now had no choice but to acknowledge her incredible achievements. His skepticism had melted away, replaced by reluctant admiration for the player who had proven him and so many others wrong. The video wasn't just a nostalgic look back at her collegiate career. It was a powerful testament to the ripple effect Clark had created in the world of basketball.
Caitlin brought so much new attention to the rise in women's college basketball and the WNBA and women's sports in general. So I feel like the weight of the world is on her shoulders, and she just has this heavy burden to carry, and she does it with grace and humility.
It was a reminder that Clark's legacy wasn't just about her numbers or records. It was about her ability to inspire and elevate the game for everyone. As the tribute played on, fans erupted into applause. Social media exploded with reactions, with tweets like "she's changed the game," and it's time everyone admits it. And even Gino can't deny her greatness anymore. The overwhelming sentiment was clear: Caitlin Clark had transcended the game, and her impact was undeniable. And it wasn't just her. Supporters from Iowa who spoke up: Cara Conagra, a coach who had faced Clark's teams as a rival, weighed in with praise that carried weight. You can't deny her impact. It goes beyond stats. The tribute seamlessly transitioned into clips of her WNBA highlights, drawing cheers from the crowd every time her face appeared on the screen. It was as if the entire basketball community was united in celebrating her journey.
Clark for the win!
Our only comparable to her is Steph Curry.
Well, she did break my assist record at Iowa, so that's, something I have to live with my entire life. But I think what Caitlin Clark did is put eyes on our game. People that would never watch women's basketball are watching women's basketball now because of Caitlin Clark.
Did is put eyes on our game. People that would never watch women's basketball are watching women's basketball now. Because of Caitlin Clark, the tribute wasn't just a celebration. It was a reckoning. It showed how far Clark had come from a player doubted by legends to one who forced him to rethink everything. It reinforced that her season was about more than just the numbers. It was about resilience, breaking barrier carriers, and bringing people together. And at the center of it all was Clark, as humble and focused as ever, continuing to inspire everyone around her. Clip 13. Geno Auriemma, the iconic UConn coach who once dismissed Caitlin Clark's WNBA potential with absolute confidence, found himself in an unexpected position. Eating his words for months, he'd been the loudest voice of doubt, criticizing her readiness for the league and questioning her ability to thrive against professional competition. During a segment aired alongside Clark's tribute video, his comments carried something fans never thought they'd hear: genuine admiration, an incredible phenomenon that very rarely happens, and it certainly changed the landscape. No question, the once sharp Ton's remarks about Clark not being built for the physicality of the WNBA or his digs at her delusional fan base were nowhere to be found. Instead, Auriemma openly acknowledged the undeniable impact she had made. She certainly changed the landscape. No question, he said during the segment, leaving viewers stunned. She's a phenomenon. I was mesmerized by her. Caitlin had the tongue out. She is feeling it tonight, folks. She broke stereotypes. She played with the flair. She played with the confidence, the swagger that I think few have played with. As Clark's brilliance continued to unfold, the weight of Auriemma's earlier skepticism became more apparent. His once firm stance looked increasingly out of step with reality. But this wasn't just about admitting she could play. It was about recognizing that Clark was redefining what it meant to be a star in the WNBA. Known for standing by his opinions, AR's shift revealed something rare: a concession to undeniable greatness.
That all of us, fan base included, were just so thankful that we were part of that ride.
Still, not everyone was quick to embrace his turnaround. Some fans dismiss his praise as little more than damage control, a way to save face. In light of Clark's meteoric rise, analysts were quick to weigh in, offering comments like, "This is Gino's version of admitting he was wrong," without actually saying the words. Even respected basketball insiders pointed out how Auriemma's change of heart highlighted the sheer force of Clark's talent, powerful enough to make even the most entrenched opinions crumble. But for many, Auriemma's shift symbolized a broader cultural shift within the sport. Women's basketball was evolving, and so too was its audience's willingness to embrace fresh talent. Clark wasn't just playing the game. She was redefining it, forcing even her fiercest critics to reevaluate their beliefs. Her season wasn't just a personal triumph. It was a turning point for the sport as a whole, done so much to grow the game and inspire young girls to play where uplifting women basketball and everybody's watching. I think Caitlin will be in the record books forever. She's an amazing basketball player, but an even better person. When Auriemma's comments went public, the reaction was immediate, and impassioned Clark's fans flocked to social media, flooding feeds with celebratory post-tweets like, "Even Gino can't deny her greatness anymore." And this is the ultimate vindication for Caitlin, summed up the collective sentiment memes poking fun at. Auriemma's change of heart quickly went viral, turning what could have been a quiet moment into an internet sensation. But beyond the memes and tweets, the moment carried deeper significance. It signaled a new era of recognition and respect for women's basketball, fueled by Clark's ability to transcend expectations. Fans who had once doubted her now found themselves cheering her on. Analysts who had hedged their bets now spoke of her with reverence, typically reserved for legends of the game who would have thought that all those years ago back in Demo, Iowa, that this would be the case. Right now, we knew what we had in Caitlin back in Iowa City, and we knew the attention that she was bringing around the Big Ten and collegiate basketball, but I didn't know how that was going to transcend into the WNBA, and obviously we can see that it's done pretty darn well. And people are excited to see her play at every level. This wasn't just about Clark proving Geno Auriemma wrong, it was about rewriting the narrative entirely. Her story became a testament to resilience, talent, and the power of breaking barriers. Clark was a trailblazer, inspiring the next generation of athletes and reshaping how the sport is perceived. The world had no choice but to pay attention. Clark's season wasn't just a triumph of skill, it was a masterclass in resilience, ambition, and rewriting the narrative. She entered the WNBA under a microscope, with skeptics, including the legendary Auriemma, doubting her ability to adapt to the league's physical and mental demands. But Clark didn't just meet the challenge. She obliterated expectations, setting a new precedent for what a first player can accomplish. My expectation is to be one of the best players in the world one day. I wouldn't expect anything less than that. More history for the Faye rookie. This point, continue to be myself. And I think a lot of good will come from that. Auriemma's shift from sharp critique to glowing praise marked more than just a personal concession. It symbolized the seismic impact of Clark's achievements for a coach his stature known for steadfast opinions. To acknowledge her greatness highlighted a turning point in the sport. It was a statement that women's basketball was evolving, driven by game changers like Clark, who challenged preconceptions and raised the bar for what's possible. This wasn't merely about proving one doubt or wrong. It was about redefining the rules of the game. As Clark prepares for the 2025 season, the stakes are higher than ever. Ending excitement surrounding her continues to build. Analysts predict she will sharpen her already elite skills and lead the Indiana Fever into contention. Fans eagerly await her next move, while her electrifying performances promise to draw even more attention to the league. But Clark's influence goes beyond stats and wins. She's a beacon for a new generation of players, inspiring them to dream bigger and push further. I just come out here and try, play basketball in a way that people love watching, in a way that is going to make my team successful. And the records and whatever, or the stats, that's just what comes with it. The ripple effect of Clark's success isn't confined to the court. It's felt in the heightened enthusiasm for women's basketball, the growing audience it commands, and the young athletes now envisioning themselves on the same stage. Caitlin Clark's season was more than an individual triumph. It was a movement, a moment in time that changed the way the game is perceived. As the WNBA continues to grow, the echoes of Clark's breakout year will reverberate through its future. She has already proven that she belongs among the league's elite, but her journey is far from over. The question now isn't whether she'll succeed, but just how far she'll take the sport. And for the critics, the doubters, and even those who've come around, one thing is clear: Caitlin Clark has already rewritten the story. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.